Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode on Dragon Sanctuary. I am recording my 10th episode today, which also happens to be my favorite number. If you knew me as an athlete, you probably already knew this or know this, but 10 is my number. So I'm super stoked to be here for episode 10 and to be discussing this topic on episode 10 feels really exciting and aligned. So I'm really happy about that. Now, I wanted to take an opportunity right off the hop and sincerely thank all of you. I received my analytics from last month, and it's not something I generally read, but this month, for October rather, I felt, called to open the email. And I saw that I am up 300% month over month. And I have 65 listeners in October, which I don't know, to me, that's amazing. To me, it's truly amazing because when I think about it, I think, okay, that's like more than 2 listeners a day listening to my podcast. So yeah, I'm just like super, 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 super grateful. And I can't tell you how special that is for me. When I first put out this podcast, I've always articulated that my goal is to help, build community and engage with people and share stories. But I've always told myself that I'm doing this for myself. And if it impacts just one person, that's enough for me. One person is enough. And I can't believe that there's 65 of you. Some people listening might be like, wow, 65, Vic? Like, really? Like, you care about 65 people? Like, that's nothing. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to be received, but genuinely, I can tell you that I am stoked. I'm fired up about 65 listeners. So shout out to 65 of you who have listened, not even just in North America, outside of North America too. Which is also really cool. I'm reaching like Europe and India, and yeah, it's really cool for me. Really, 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 really humbled by that. And I just wanted to really thank you all because it does mean a lot to me. So really appreciate it. On that note, I also wanted to discuss a couple other housekeeping items before I got into today's episode. So if anyone listening is wondering, I do send out newsletters. They're not great right now because they take time. But if you're interested in getting on the mailing list, please let me know. Like, reach out to me. You can reach out to me on Podbean or through my socials. And let me know if you want to be on the mailing list. So my intent or how I've run that right now is just, when a new episode comes out, I just send it out, notification, a little cute summary. But I intend to make these a bit more beefy, a bit more intentional. I've really loved writing. It's been something that I didn't know that I loved as much as I do. And through this podcast and through other hobbies and interests and creative outlets, I've realized that I really, really love writing. So I hope to, share some more newsletters with you, short stories or posts. Let me know. I will also say too, I am currently in a hibernation season on social media. For those of you who don't know what that means, it literally means what it means. I've been offline for 2 months now, and every time it's the best time. So I don't know how many times I'm going to have to reteach myself this lesson, but I don't like social media. Unfortunately, it's sad for me to say that or declare that, but I just don't enjoy spending my time promoting my podcast because it takes away from me actually making my podcast. There's a lot of effort and energy and also time that goes into a project or a hobby that you know nothing about. And I started this knowing absolutely nothing. And over the last while, I have learned a lot. And I have an amazing human being, Caroline, who I hope to have on very soon, who, when I very first started, gave me a lot of tips and tricks about how to manage and run my socials. And I really appreciate it, but it's just not sustainable for me. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. It takes too much of my energy. So also shout out to Mike, who is the reason why I am recording my podcast today, basically, in terms of like actual execution and different things. So shout out to Mike. I love you. I love you, Caroline, too. And yeah, I just wanted to say that you may have seen me post on my Dragon Sanctuary podcast page when a new episode comes out, or like a Thoughtful Thursday. And I really love doing them. I really do, for what they are. But then to actually like put them out and be consistent with it, it's just not my vibe. So yeah, if you want to connect on social media, what I'm basically trying to say is you can, if you know, you want to come on an episode or you want to comment, share some feedback, maybe on YouTube or on Spotify or on Apple or on Podbean, there's like a comment section. I would really appreciate it if you engaged there, less on Instagram, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to have Instagram or how much longer I'm going to put things out on Instagram. So with that being said, I did want to also share an update that I am on Substack, which has been amazing. I've been exploring it for the last month or so, and it's just been really interesting for me. And I've really enjoyed the space and what it is. I think that social media is really become a beast, and no judgment on how you use it or don't use it, but I've really enjoyed Substack. It's been a nice creative outlet for me to just explore and still feel connected to people that I don't know. So I am on Substack. I did also publish my first post on Substack, which I'm really excited about. It's called Heaven on Earth. So if you're interested in reading rather than listening to me, you can do that on Substack. So yeah, have fun, engage or not. But I just wanted to share those housekeeping items with you because I think it's important to just share an update. So thank you all. Thank you all so much. And if you're still listening, thank you for still listening. So let's get into today's episode, practice. We've all heard the saying, I'm sure, practice makes perfect. And I've never really liked this saying because I've never really understood who is perfect and why we're striving for perfection. And I think less people say it now. It's not as common of a phrase, but certainly we've probably all heard it before. And when I think of the greatest athletes, the greatest humanitarians, the kindest humans you've ever met, I don't think that any of them would describe themselves as perfect. So why should we? Why should we aim for perfection? I prefer to say practice makes us human. And I'll repeat that. Practice makes us human. I have, you could probably guess, a story about how I practiced as a child. And my first love was soccer. I am of Portuguese descent, so maybe it's in my blood. I don't know. But regardless, soccer was my first love. And I remember, like, as a kid, I was very obsessed with the skills. And I think because, and this is not to sound arrogant, but I had a natural ability in soccer and in hockey, just this, like, to pick up the skill set. This, maybe people would call it like finesse. And I always had an admiration for, like, the elite in these sports. So my favorite soccer player growing up, I don't know if you can guess, but it was not Cristiano Ronaldo. It is today, but it was not Cristiano Ronaldo. It was Ronaldinho, the Brazilian Ronaldinho. And I was, like, obsessed with him. Like, obsessed with him. And if you haven't heard of Ronaldinho, just look up this man's quickly on Google. Look him up and you'll see instantly, like, he is just someone who, I don't know, like, you just gravitate to. There's something about him. And a phenomenal soccer player, a phenomenal human being, and just a phenomenal player. So as a kid, I was on YouTube, because we had YouTube when I was a kid. And I was, like, ripping Ronaldinho videos all day. And he had finesse. He was a player that I was like, hey, if I can, like, even be a little bit like Ronaldinho, I'll be happy. So there was a few tricks that he would do. And I was obsessed with tricks. So I would go on my aunt's driveway and I would go outside with my outdoor shoes and whatever jersey I had, which is probably a blank Brazil jersey with no number, no name. And I would go on the driveway and I would just screw around. I would practice. And I loved keep ups. I was really good. I could do several hundred easily. I used to count. Like, it used to be a thing. Like, yeah, I could do 206. How many could you do? And, like, I could do left and right. Like, how many could you do? And a little fun banter as a kid. Never hurt nobody, I don't think. And I wanted to learn around the world because that was a fun trick. And I was like, hey, I need to know how to do this. If I'm bragging about doing 206 keep ups, I need to know how to do around the world, which is just literally kicking the ball and putting your whole foot around it. It's a simple trick, I guess. So I thought that was, like, an easy trick for me to, like, start learning. There were several others, but for the sake of time and interest, I will get into this one. So I was, thinking, let me see if I can execute this. And lo and behold, after several hours outside, I executed around the world. So I'm like, okay, cool. I think the, like, medium level trick here is, I don't know actually the name, but it was the trick where you would be doing keep ups and then you would kick the ball and it would land on your neck and you would be, like, at 90, and then you would remove your shirt while keeping the ball on your neck. And I was like, damn, Ronaldinho used to do this trick like nothing. I went inside and I didn't want to just take my shirt off on the middle of the street on the driveway. So I would play around with different shirts I had because I had to layer up. And obviously it was harder as a girl to take off your shirt with layers underneath and try to maintain this ball on your neck. So it was really funny. Like, I would just try to find tank tops or t-shirts or whatever. And as you're probably sensing, I was a huge tomboy as a kid. It was not a drill. And at this point, I probably had no hair because I had my hair cut really, really short when I was a kid because it was just in my way, truthfully. It was just in my way, getting in my way of my tricks. So had to cut it off and get those frosted tips. I should put a picture if I can find one. Really, really embarrassing. But I will try to find one and put it here. And long story short, was like, hey, this is a medium skill. Like, I feel like I can do it. I don't know. I had a really good skills coach, Woody Bailey. Shout out to Woody Bailey. Unbelievable human being. And I was telling him I was like obsessed with this trick, and he would always be like, like chill, basically. Work on your foot speed. Like, you're still slow. And I was like, okay, yeah, I agree, but I still want to do this trick. It's all about the finesse. It's all about the finesse. So anyways, I'm in the driveway and I'm practicing, and I think to myself, okay, I can break this down. Like, clearly I know I'm good at keep ups. So if I break this trick down into like different sections and try to execute each section, maybe I can bring it all together and nail it. Lo and behold, it's what I did. It's what I did. Okay. I did the keep ups. Actually, first, instead of the keep ups, I just put the ball on my neck and tried to remove my shirt. And after I practiced that, I said, okay, I actually was able to do it. Sweet. Then I did the keep ups, try to kick the ball over my head, on my neck, land it. That took lots of practice, nailed it eventually. Now, all I had to do was bring it all together. I had to bring together all my practice into one and execute. What do you think? Obviously, I did. I shouldn't say obviously, but obviously as in how I'm telling the story, obviously I did. And I did. And I don't remember who was home that day. But I can tell you, I ran inside and I screamed and I celebrated like I won the World Cup. It was unbelievable. I thought I was Ronaldinho. And I remember after that, I was obsessed with who he was, like as a human being. I don't know, there was something about him that really caught my attention. I thought he was like humble, kind, gracious. And like, because he was from Brazil, I assumed like he had very like good core family values, had an amazing like supportive childhood, but maybe grew up like a little less fortunate and like just had drive and passion. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to be like Ronaldinho. And I had hair like Ronaldinho. I just told you it was short and all cut off, but like naturally my hair was curly and long at that time. So I was like, okay, I'm basically Ronaldinho. And that was fun for me as a kid. I did this a lot with different athletes. Sports was my thing. And I think that this metaphor, the story, is a really relevant practice today in my life, and in life in general, which is, we may practice something and we may fail. Like, it took me several weeks to even be able to have a little bit of success with this trick that I was trying. And, I like, what I didn't tell you is everything in between, which was me like kicking the ball at the garage, like getting angry, frustrated, the failures, learning how to like really focus on my breath. I remember, especially when you're taking off your shirt and the ball's on your neck, like you have to really be in tune and relaxed. And I think that this happens in life. Like, this is what life is, One day we may win, one day we may lose, one day we might tie, one day we might continue tying again and losing and getting hurt and injured, but then we stand up and we stand up again and again and again, and then one day we win the trophy. We win first place. And I believe, for me, what I've learned is the only way I can win, quote unquote, is with commitment, discipline, passion, and desire. Commitment, discipline, passion, and desire. And you need to keep practicing. You talk to the GOATs, the greatest of all times, at anything, in anything that people do. And what you hear is them saying, keep going, keep practicing. Most importantly, keep practicing even when your cheer squad doesn't show up. So I remember for me, for example, like most kids, when I saw my family or my friends in the stands watching my soccer or my hockey game, mostly my hockey game because hockey I played later in life, I was fired up beyond belief. Beyond belief. Like, I don't know, like when I heard, my aunt, my uncle, my cousins, or like some of my best friends were coming to my game, like Vick was fired up. It was like another level unlocked. And then as I've gotten older, the reverse has happened. It's been like, I don't care who's watching, I'm still going to give it 110, actually new level unlocked. It's who's not watching. And I think that's when I perform my best. Of course, it's nice to have support. And I think as human beings, we all need support. We all need a little cheer squad, a little tap on the back. Someone who is going to really tell you good job and mean it, and mean it. And I think that in this world, it's a fine line. It's a fine line between constructive criticism, ego, and genuinity. We're so easy to say, you didn't do that right. You could have, you should have, and you didn't. And I think that I actually did have this conversation. I did have this conversation with my mom this weekend. It was her birthday. Shout out to the greatest of all time, my mother. And her and I were talking, and we were talking about how it's important for me in my life to ask people when I'm asking for feedback, or to make it known that I'm asking for feedback, because most times as human beings, we're not asking for feedback. We're just asking for validation. And I have so many loving relationships in my life where people do literally ask permission, or like I'll come to them and ask for them, or ask them for advice or what they think or their thoughts. And we're all just practicing. We're all just practicing at the game of life. We're trying to we don't even know what that trophy is sometimes. I think flexibility is another really important thing, or concept, is like, I'll share this other story. Like, practicing killed me. I got a concussion in practice. And that was intense. I've gotten injured in practice, clearly. So hurt. I remember when I played in university here in Canada, I would go and I would get like special treatment because my knee was mangled. This was before I had my first surgery, but I had like torn my meniscus a few times. And I had so much pain. It was like a known thing in the dressing room. Like, you were never playing at 100%. You were always playing at like 80. 80 was like ambitious. But I remember I would get my muscles stripped. And I don't even know if that's like a real phrase, but that's what they would call it. I would go in with a physiotherapist and he would strip my muscles. And essentially what it was doing, or what I was told it was doing, it was like help rebuilding the fascia and like flushing out the bad stuff, the inflammation. And I can tell you, in my life, that was some of the most painful, top 5 most painful moments, to the point where I would be like bawling my eyes out, like bawling. And then the next day I would have bruises. Like I would go into the like dressing room or whatever, and I'd have bruises from my hips to my ankles. And like you just play, and you believe it or not, I did feel better. So what I'm trying to say is I'm at a different stage in my life where I don't really want to experience pain for pleasure. And I talked about that in my last episode a lot, or a little bit. And I think that, you get to a certain stage in your life where like, I'm in the prime times. Like, dare I say it? I'm in my prime. And I like to think of each stage as my prime, because I really do believe that each stage has a beautiful part that is prime. But I really feel that I am in my prime right now, and I don't want to necessarily strive for perfection. I just want to strive to be human. And when I want people to think back on me or remember me or associate something with me, like I want them to think of me as someone who was like kind, courteous, passionate, and not someone who's perfect. And I think that this is a really important reminder for us as we enter into this hibernation season. I love this time of year. It's not my favorite time of year, but it's close to being my favorite time of year. And it's a really important time for me, like the trees when they lose their leaves, in the winter, and they hibernate. The bears, they're just like waiting and resting and recharging, reading, sleeping, all these things, so that when the spring and summer comes, they're ready to bloom. So I really encourage you to try it out or not. And I wanted to, like I do with every episode, share a card that I pulled from one of my favorite decks, which is Dragon Oracle by Diana Cooper. Amazing deck if you don't know it already. And it's funny, I pulled this card recently, like I think a few weeks ago, and it's Lilac Fire Dragon. It's a 5th dimensional dragon, if you believe in that. And the message is transmutes through the power of divine love. Open up to transcendent love and enlightenment. Purity of heart brings peace, hope, and joy. For some reason, I'm wondering if I pulled this card in the last episode, and if I did, interesting. But it's really resonating, and I'm wondering if it's because I already pulled it recently or not. But I think I've just honestly pulled it in my own practice. I pull cards almost every day, definitely at the beginning of the week or on the weekends, and most Monday mornings. So the about. These dragons are 5th dimensional. However, they can reach up to the 9th dimension to access the awesome lilac fire of Source, which is a new energy recently graced to Earth. This carries transcendent love as well as enlightenment. When these dragons pour their lilac fire over and through us, we are bathed in divine feminine light. which has the power to dissolve all lower energies in pure love and bring us peace, hope, and joy. It also bathes us in a higher divine feminine, qualities of wisdom, agape, and oneness. Having this energy in our aura may even allow us to experience bliss and ecstasy. This really resonates. Please, I encourage you to read my Heaven on Earth post on Substack. The guidance. When you choose this card, a lilac fire dragon will touch you with incredible ninth dimensional light. So call it in and ask it to touch you. As it approaches you, breathe in divine love and sense the lilac fire enveloping you. This will enable you to let go of the old, calmly and graciously. Notice particularly how you feel when this dragon touches you and sense the purity of love that it radiates. Ask this dragon to remain with you to anchor the glorious light of the lilac fire and take you into a new and illuminated way of being. When you do this, the love radiating from your heart will become pure and more beautiful. People will sense this and respond with trust, respect, and gratitude. Consciously work with this beautiful dragon and notice the difference it makes in your life and the quality of love around you. Love it. Beautiful, beautiful card. Now, the very last thing that I wanted to say is as I was prepping to record, I was listening to music, as I often am, and the song that came on right before I was about to turn off the music was Dancing in the Dark by Bruce Springsteen. Okay. And I wanted to share with you one phrase from that song, which is, "You can't start a fire without a spark." So I blow you all a kiss and I leave you with that. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you and sharing with all of you again soon.